Many students believe that Year 11 isn't really an important year because it doesn't count directly towards their ATAR. So they end up wasting it, and by the time they get to Year 12, they wonder why it's so difficult for them. Why is this the case? Well, what if I told you that Year 11 is in fact the most important year? It was because of what I did during Year 11 that I was able to achieve a 97 plus ATAR, become dux of my cohort, and achieve many other things. And it was because of Year 11 that I was able to learn from my mistakes, learn new skills, and become that student who smashes every exam they sit. So if you want to do the same and ensure that you're using Year 11 in the most effective way possible to set you up for Year 12 success, then get ready, because this video is going to be your ultimate guide for Year 11 success. It will cover everything you need to know. So grab a pen and paper, stay focused, and get ready to get ahead of 99% of students this year. Year 11 is a massive jump from Year 10, and here's what to expect. And some of these you might be experiencing right now. Number one, increased workload. The workload in Year 11 is much greater than all your previous years. You'll be required to do more work and you'll be given more work. And this sudden increase in workload causes many students to freak out. They end up burning out, they end up getting scared, and they always question themselves, if I can't deal with this workload now, how am I supposed to do that in Year 12? Now, later on in this video, I will answer how you deal with this workload, so don't worry about that. Number two, exams are longer. So in the previous years, usually your exams were like, 40 minutes, an hour, something like that. Well, in Year 11 and the prelims and the final exams, your exams are around 2 hours long. So they're much longer. Number three, the syllabus is very, very important. See, in Year 7 to 10, the syllabus is something that you don't really care about. Like, yes, it does exist, but you don't ever use it for studying for exams, right? But in Year 11, this is absolutely essential. You need to become aware of your syllabus, because everything that the exam could possibly ask you comes from the syllabus. And not only is this relevant for Year 11, it's especially relevant for Year 12. So make sure you are very aware of the syllabus and you know everything about it. It's not something you can ignore like in previous years. Three, undertaking self-directed learning. In Year 11, expect to learn a lot by yourself and be self-directed. What does this mean? Meaning that you can't rely on your teachers as much anymore, right? You as a student need to know when you should be doing this, when you should be doing this, right? You yourself need to be putting the work in to make sure that you learn everything and you know what to skip, what to prioritize, and things of that nature. Now, obviously everyone's school is different. You might have really great teachers who do this for you, but the reality is this is not the case for a lot of students. So expect to be very self-directed, to do a lot of things yourself. And this is a very essential skill to have anyway, because in university, it's literally the same thing. In uni, they don't care about you. Like, you have to do everything yourself, and that's the same for Year 11 and 12. So expect that this year. And number four, Year 11 is only 3 terms. I know, right? It's very scary. Year 11 is just 3 terms, and then you're in Year 12, right? So this is something you need to be aware of, just in case you didn't know. The minimum number of units in Year 11 is 12, which is around 6 subjects. Now, if you didn't know, each subject has a unit. So for example, biology has 2 units, chemistry has 2 units, etc. You can have a look on like the NESA website or just any website, or maybe just ask your teacher how many units are each subject. But the number of units in Year 11 are 12. And when you get to Year 12, the minimum number of units are 10. Right? So this means in Year 12, you're able to drop a subject, but that's not required. It's up to you. That's in a separate video. We'll talk about that. Now, the big old question, how do you choose your subjects? So if from what I remember, it's actually not too late at the current stage of this video to change your subject. So hopefully what I tell you may help you figure out if you should change a subject, pick up a subject, and etc. But here is my personal formula for picking a subject. 1. Don't fall into the scaling trap. If you haven't heard already, you're going to be hearing a lot of teachers and students talking about scaling. This subject scales high, this scales low, do this, don't do this, avoid this, do this instead. Please listen to me very carefully, okay? This is from someone who can relate to you. I'm talking to you, the student who's watching this right now, who hasn't done the highest scaling subjects and is worrying about their future ATAR. This is my message to you. You have no excuses. It doesn't matter what subject subjects you've chosen. You can score any ATAR you want, including 99.95. And that is the truth. And for some reason, students just fail to see this, okay? I didn't do the highest scaling subjects, and yet I scored an ATAR above 97, got ducks, got a scholarship to study at one of Australia's top universities. And I only tell you this to express to you that it's possible, right? You just gotta put in the work and you gotta stay focused. So don't fall into the scaling trap. Pick the subjects you want to study. Don't get influenced by anyone, because when you choose the subjects that you are interested in and you want to study for, then just picture it, right? The process is gonna be much easier. You're gonna be able to score higher, and ultimately you're gonna be getting a higher ATAR. Number 2, see if your university has any subject prerequisites. Now, in this day and age, there is actually not any universities who have prerequisites except for one uni, from what I know. If I were you, I would make sure to go on your university's website and just double check to see if there is a prerequisite so you can pick that subject. Now, that being said, if you for some reason can't change the subjects now and it's too late and there is a prerequisite, you can still get into the course, but you're just gonna have to require to do some things like maybe do an extra course or learn that topic before you join, stuff like that. But I'm just letting you know this just in case it's too late for you to change your subjects and you do have a prerequisite. Okay, so now that I went over what's expected and subject selection, here is my advice and tips for you to ensuring that you succeed in year 11 and set yourself up for year 12. Number 1, set goals. The top students are goal-oriented, meaning that they know where they're going. They have a clear direction and clear sight as to what ATAR they want to get, what university course they roughly want to get into. And even though this might change along the course of your journey, you can still determine that roughly from today. It's very important to set goals during year 11, because if you don't set them, it's going to be very difficult for you to actually stay motivated and do what's required, because you don't know where you're headed. And if you don't know where you're headed, then you can only imagine the difficulty that will come and just the confusion, really. Because if you don't have a clear ATAR, then how much work do you really need to put in? Just to remind you, when you set your ATAR goal, when you set your university goal, when you set your course goal, please remove any external factors, okay? What do you want as a student? Not what your parents, not what your school wants. What do you want? Number 2, don't be burdened by your past. I was a terrible student from year 7 to 10. I literally never studied. I got C's, D's. I was always known as that student who never does anything in school. And I didn't have, if I was to base it off my past, a good looking future, right? Yet, despite my past, I was able to score in the top 2% of the state, become ducks, achieve a scholarship, and etc. If I had let my past grades and my past performance burden me, then this would have not been a reality. Year 11 gives you a clean slate. You have the opportunity right now to completely change. And that's why it's actually important to take year 11 seriously, because just like I did, you too could change your entire course of your academic results. Focus on the present and the future, not the past. Number 3, have an experimental mindset. Year 11 is a training ground for year 12. So be open to try new things, right? New study methods, ways of taking your notes, and etc. And most importantly, do not be afraid of failure, and don't be burdened if you don't do well in the exam. Know the syllabus. Many students don't take their time to read through the syllabus and become aware of what they're going to learn in each of their particular subjects. And because of this, they end up scoring bad in both year 11 and year 12. Remember that every single exam question that they could possibly ask you comes from the syllabus, and they can't go outside of the syllabus. So that's why it's very important to become aware of it. And also for English, make sure you're aware of the rubric. Be an independent learner. Do not rely on your teachers during year 11 and 12 for your success. Take learning and education into your own hands. If I had relied on my teachers during year 11 and 12, I would have never been able to succeed. Become an independent learner, learn on your own terms, and don't wait for your teacher to do things. For example, let's say you want to go ahead for the next topic. Don't ever say, oh, I'm waiting for my teacher to start the next slide. She's waiting for other students. Get a textbook for each of your subjects and take things into your own hands. Get ahead, learn on your own, And of course, use your teachers for questions and resources instead. Learn how to effectively study. Literally the majority of year 11 and 12 students are studying completely wrong. They just take notes, highlight, reread, rewrite. And I don't blame them, because that's what schools have taught us, right? There's never been any formal education on how we actually learn and study. So that's why the majority of students study wrong. So learn how to actually study effectively, and I will have a full guide on this soon. But in the meantime, ask any questions below if you're confused. Learn from the top students. The top students are very different to the lower performing students in how they think, right? Their mindset, their routines, and their habits, right? So learn from the top students and how they do things, because the way they do it is how you should be doing it to succeed. Stay organized and plan. Plan every single week and make a weekly to-do list. What tasks are you going to be doing each day? I used to do this every Sunday night, and it was so powerful because it allowed me to see exactly what I was doing and there was no confusion, right? So for example, by the time Tuesday came, all I had to do was look at my schedule, my weekly to-do list, and just do what I put there. And this saves a bunch of time of you sitting there and saying, what should I be doing? Now, when you make your weekly to-do list, be sure to address each of your subjects at least once every 3 days and do maths 5 times a week. And additionally, make sure right after this video, do not procrastinate this. Schedule in all your assessment tasks, all your upcoming exams and your assignments, as this will help you to be aware when they are and so that you can prepare in advance. And finally, stay organized too. Make sure your desk is clean. Make sure you're organized in terms of your subjects. I used to have dedicated files. For example, for maths, I put everything math related. For biology, I put everything biology related. And I suggest you to do the same thing. By staying organized, you're going to be able to have a clutter-free mind. Now that I've given you my advice and my tips for you as a year 11 student, here are the mistakes that I need you to avoid. Number 1, burning yourself out. Don't start studying with full intensity at the start of year 11, because when you do that, you're going to burn out in the end. And when year 12 comes, you're not going to have any of the energy left to do well in year 12. And I see a lot of students do this. They have ambitious goals at the beginning, they put in a bunch of work, and they just completely burn out. So don't do that, be gradual in your efforts. Number 2, thinking year 11 is the end. Year 11 is not the end. Year 12 is the end, right? So have that in mind during year 11, because this will reduce your stress and you'll be able to really take year 11 as a chance for growth, as opposed to being too attached to the marks you get. So have a long-term focus and understand that year 12 is the end goal and their final ATAR is the end goal, not year 11. Year 11 is just preparing you for that. And finally, wasting year 11. Now, I made a TikTok video on this that got like over 100,000 views, and this triggered a lot of people and it also inspired a lot of people. But I'm telling you right now, this is a good sign that you're watching this. Do not waste year 11, okay? Don't bludge it. Don't think that because it doesn't directly count towards your ATAR that you don't need to be doing anything. Yes, you do, because it indirectly counts. It was because of year 11, like I said, that I was able to change as a student completely. I had my greatest academic comeback in year 11, and I was able to achieve what I achieved because of year 11, because of the things I learned in year 11. So don't waste it. And there we have it. That is my ultimate guide for doing well in year 11 and succeeding in a way that sets you up for year 12 success. I hope you enjoyed this video, and before you leave, here are the action steps that I want you to follow right now to make sure that you implement what I've just said in this video. Number 1, set goals. Number 2, plan. And number 3, break your bad habits and form good ones. Be sure to subscribe, like, and comment down below if you have any questions. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.